Hello and a very warm welcome to the Psychology of Money podcast. It's great to have you with us. If you've ever felt that tight knot in your stomach when you think about your finances, well, you are in exactly the right place today. We're going to tackle financial anxiety head on, not with fuzzy opinions, but with a super clear, data-backed guide to help you take back control and start making money decisions with some real, genuine confidence.
So to kick things off, let me tell you about two real people. First, there's Ronald Reed. He was a janitor in rural Vermont. Then you have Richard Fuscone, a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive. Now, when Ronald Reed passed away at 92, he left an $8 million fortune to his local hospital and library. Around that same time, Fuscone, the guy with the Harvard MBA, was declaring bankruptcy. So what on earth explains that? Well, it's the core idea of our whole explainer today. Financial success isn't really a hard science. It's a soft skill, where how you behave with money is so much more important than what you know about it.
And that behavior, it often starts with a really common emotion. So if you felt even a little bit stressed just hearing those stories, I want to reassure you, money anxiety is absolutely real, and you are definitely not alone in feeling this way.
The sheer scale of this problem is kind of staggering. According to some great research from Vanguard, 65% of Americans, that's nearly 2 out of every 3 people you meet, say that money is a significant source of stress. So this isn't some little niche issue. It's a massive shared experience for most of us.
And this stress, it doesn't just hang out in our heads. It actually changes how we act. This quote from a research participant, it just captures it perfectly, how financial anxiety can lead straight to avoidance. The fear gets so big that we literally stop opening the mail. We avoid looking at our bank accounts, and we feel this really deep sense of shame. This avoidance, as we're about to see, is a direct symptom of our brains just trying to cope with financial fear.
So why do we get trapped in these cycles? Why do smart people, like that executive from the beginning of our story, make such weird, self-defeating decisions with their money? Well, to understand that, we need to take a look at your brain on finance. Turns out our brains come with a few, let's call them built-in glitches or cognitive biases that can seriously sabotage our financial well-being.
Okay, first up is a really big one, loss aversion. Here's the deal. Psychologically, the pain of losing $100 feels about twice as bad as the pleasure you get from gaining $100. And to avoid that pain, we do some really irrational things. We'll hold on to a stock that's totally tanked, telling ourselves, oh, it'll come back, just because selling it would mean we have to admit the loss. It's a purely emotional decision, not a logical one at all.
And then there's herding. As social creatures, we have this deep-seated instinct to just follow the crowd. When it comes to investing, this is incredibly dangerous. When everyone is piling into some hot new stock, we get that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and we jump in too, a lot of times right at the peak. And then, when the market panics and everyone is selling, our gut instinct screams to sell too, locking in our losses at the absolute worst time. This is the exact behavior that inflates market bubbles and makes crashes so much worse.
This slide really shows the battle that's going on inside our minds during a market downturn. On the left, you've got that herding instinct, that emotional panic shouting, "Everyone is selling, I need to get out now." But on the right, you have a calm, rational, planned response. Recognizing which voice you're listening to, that's the very first step toward making a better decision. Which one sounds a little more like you in a moment of panic?
Okay, so we've established that financial anxiety is super common, and that our brains are basically hardwired with these biases that make everything worse. And it might feel a bit hopeless, but I promise you it's not. Let's pivot from the problems to the solutions. It's time to explore what the data actually says about a proven, evidence-based path to confidence.
Which brings us to the key question, right? How do we actually fight these deep-seated psychological traps and build real, lasting financial confidence for ourselves? Well, the answer isn't in guesswork. It's in solid evidence. This is from a randomized control trial published by the American Economic Association. They took a group of young adults, gave one group financial coaching, and then compared them to a group that got nothing. And the result? After just 1 year, the group that got the coaching saw their average credit score jump by a whopping 44 points. This isn't just a theory, folks. This is a measurable, positive result.
But what was the secret ingredient? What was the magic behind that 44-point jump? It wasn't just about learning more facts and figures about finance. The research found that the real driver was an increase in something called financial self-efficacy. Now that's a fancy term for a simple but incredibly powerful idea. It's your personal belief in your own ability to manage your money effectively. In a word, it's confidence.
So if the goal is building up that self-efficacy, that confidence, how do we actually do it? This is where we get super practical.
Let's open up the confidence toolkit and look at some actionable steps you can start using like today.
One of the absolute best ways to fight that emotional bias is to use a structured framework, the SMART method. It forces you to slow down and think logically. So instead of just reacting in a panic, you define the specific decision, you measure the numbers, you look at all your alternatives, you assess the risks, and you set a timeline. It literally pulls you out of that panicked, biased part of your brain and into your rational mind.
But building confidence isn't all about logic and spreadsheets. It's also about building a healthier, calmer relationship with money. And simple exercises in money mindfulness can dramatically reduce your stress. You could try money journaling for just 5 minutes a day, just writing down your thoughts and feelings about a recent decision. Or try a weekly spending reflection. And this is not about judging yourself, it's just about simply asking, did my spending this week really align with what I truly value?
Okay, now that we have some tools, we really need to think about the goal that we're building towards. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important section. It's time we challenge the conventional definition of wealth and really redefine what financial success actually means.
I want you to just let this quote sink in for a second. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. What if the whole goal of all this planning and saving wasn't just to buy more stuff, but to buy your own freedom? The ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the ultimate return on your investment, control over your own time.
And this brings us to a really key distinction. We tend to confuse being rich with being wealthy. Being rich is what you see, the fancy car, the big house, but that's just spent money. True wealth, that's what you don't see. It's the savings in the bank, the investments that are quietly growing, that are giving you the options, the flexibility, and the control over your life that we were just talking about.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to carry with you. As you move forward on your financial journey, armed with new tools and a new understanding of your own psychology, ask yourself this question. What if you just shifted your focus a little bit? What if the ultimate goal isn't just about accumulating more money, but about building a life with more freedom? Thanks for joining us for this explainer. We hope to see you next time.